Hi guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're watching Buyer Guide, which new Beatles Revolver is right for you. Of course guys, have on 5 CDs box set in the 2 CD edition. Let's begin now.
Hey everybody, my name's Kyle,
Hi,
and this
Kyle.
is Track by Track, music reviews, news, and commentary.
Okay.
After the news of an upcoming Super
Revolver.
Deluxe edition of the Beatles' Revolver album was leaked 2 weeks ago by Variety and briefly even previewed by Ringo himself, the news is now official. Revolver is indeed on the way, making the 5th Super Deluxe edition by the Fab Four. This follows Sgt. Pepper's in 2017, Abbey Road in 2018, the White Album in 2019, and last year's Let It Be in 2021. In theory, if the pandemic had not delayed Let It Be from its originally expected 2020 release date to correspond with that album's 50th anniversary, we likely would have seen Revolver in 2021 instead. Nevertheless, the announcement has finally been made, and as expected, there are a variety of options available for all types of fans and all types of budgets. If you're wondering about picking up one of them, it's a good idea to do a little comparison shopping between the different versions. You might find it makes sense for you to buy more than one edition, or you may find that you don't need any of them at all. I'll dig into all the details of the various editions, and I'll make my recommendations about what kind of fan each is best suited for. In the end, if you decide you want to add one or more versions to your Beatles collection, be sure to look for ordering links in the description below. Let's start out by looking at the Super Deluxe edition of Revolver on CD. This is a 5-disc set that appears to be packaged very similarly to 2018's Abbey Road Super Deluxe edition. You have an album-sized slipcase featuring the original cover art and a 100-page hardcover book inside. And like Abbey Road, there will be pockets inside the book cover to hold each of the discs in individual jackets. Speaking of discs, I'll show you the full track list on screen, but you may need to pause to read it all. Disc 1, as you'd expect, is the new Giles Martin remix of the original Revolver album. The second disc is Sessions 1, a collection of alternative takes and mixes of Revolver tracks as well as Paperback Writer and Rain. The third disc is, you guessed it, Sessions 2, another batch of alternate takes and mixes. On disc 4, we get the original mono master of the Revolver album. Mono we expected, but not necessarily the original mix, so this should sound very familiar to many Beatles collectors that already have the mono box set. And finally, continuing the trend started with last year's Let It Be box set, we get the 4-track Revolver EP, featuring stereo and mono mixes of Paperback Writer and Rain. Alright, did you notice what's missing? For the first time in the series of Beatles Super Deluxe editions, there is no Blu-ray disc. That means no surround sound mix of the Revolver album and no high-resolution audio tracks. Definitely a disappointment for me and many other fans who are looking forward to hearing songs like Tomorrow Never Knows in surround sound. A Dolby Atmos mix will be available digitally on streaming services, but it is not included in any physical format. As we switch formats to vinyl, I want to note how the absence of a Blu-ray disc creates another first for the Beatles Deluxe editions here. In all of the previous box sets, vinyl buyers missed out on the Blu-ray discs. Those surround sound mixes were exclusive to the CD Super Deluxe sets, making that a significant difference between the otherwise identical vinyl and CD Super Deluxe sets. But with Revolver, there's essentially no difference at all between formats. The vinyl edition features all the same content as the CD edition, spread across 4 12-inch LPs and 1 7-inch single. Again, very similar to what was done with Let It Be. The 100-page book is also included here as well, so the parity between the two Revolver sets is pretty much at 100%. Now, as you'd expect, both Super Deluxe editions carry a higher price point, so fans on a budget will likely want to consider one of the more slimmed-down editions. Once again, the 2 CD version is available, featuring a new stereo mix of Revolver on Disc 1 and Sessions highlights on Disc 2.
Yep.
This is actually a really interesting version because the highlights disc arguably presents a more traditional listening experience than the discs in the Super Deluxe sets. Opening with the stereo mixes of Paperback Writer and Rain, the disc then runs through alternate takes of 13 of the 14 Revolver album tracks, with only Good Day Sunshine unrepresented. There's no song repetition on the disc itself, making it all the more compelling for the less-than-hardcore fans. Less-than-hardcore CD fans, I should say. There's no vinyl equivalent available.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, vinyl fans will have to settle for a single LP edition of Revolver. Not that with an album like Revolver you're ever settling. It's great, even without any alternate takes or mixes. And of course, there's a single CD edition available as well, featuring only the remixed album tracks. So, which version of Revolver is right for you? In most cases, I think this will be an easy choice that comes down to budget. With no difference at all between the Super Deluxe editions on vinyl and CD, fans with money to spend may just need to choose between their formats of choice. That being said, the CD edition, while still expensive, is still priced about 30% less than the vinyl edition. Some vinyl fans may actually want to consider purchasing both the single LP version of the album and the 5-CD Super Deluxe box set. That way, they get the classic album on their preferred format, and they get the archive material on CD for when they want to do a deeper dive into the sessions without flipping platters as often. Best of all, you can buy both the Super Deluxe CD set and the single LP vinyl edition together for a little bit less than the cost of the vinyl Super Deluxe set by itself. Of course, if you're all in on vinyl, you're likely going to pop for the 4LP plus 1 7-inch version anyway. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the 2 CD edition does represent a pretty compelling option. With no song repetition on the second disc, it promises a highly enjoyable listening experience for casual and hardcore fans alike. I also think it was a wise move to put Sessions highlights on the second disc rather than a mono mix of the album, because again, I think that's what casual fans or fans on a budget would have preferred. And it's a nice touch that Paperback Writer and Rain are also included. All things considered, with the negligible price difference between this 2 CD edition and the single-disc album-only version, I see no reason to recommend the single-disc CD edition to anyone. It's a different story on vinyl, though. Outside of the expensive Super Deluxe edition, the only other option for vinyl fans is the single-platter album-only edition. Unlike the single CD, this is fairly easy to recommend. After all, this is the classic presentation of the classic album, and at a minimum, that's what every vinyl fan should have in their collection. I mean, for the amazing cover alone, it is worth having this in your collection in all its 12-inch glory. True, there's no bonus tracks, but this is about as pure of a Revolver experience as you're going to get. And again, maybe you would consider pairing the single LP with the 2 CD edition so you can at least listen to the highlights from the box set while spending a fraction of what it would cost for the Super Deluxe edition. So there you go, 5 different editions of Revolver by the Beatles. From a formats perspective, I think we're seeing exactly what was expected. The main exception here is the surprising absence of a Blu-ray disc in the Super Deluxe edition. But as I said, for some fans, it makes the buying decision that much easier. But what do you think about this release? Will you be picking up one or more of these editions? Or are you happy with the version of the album you likely have in your collection already? Let me know what you think down in the comments section, and don't forget, you can find ordering links to each edition in the description below. Once again, my name's Kyle, and this has been Track by Track. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Have a good day. Thank you guys so much for watching.